It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Zeus 2.5 channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back, and I hope we all had a wonderful week. Now, I'm a huge fan of anything anime related. I remember being a teenager where I would get lost in these fantastical worlds for hours after a tough day at school or at work. To me, anime just represented this unique vehicle in the sense that it was so different from normal mainstream animations in how it conveyed emotions, feelings, and all-round everyday life. These stories left a sense of melancholy with us, the audience. From the climatic scene of Your Lie in April to the sounds of the mesmerizing and instantly nostalgic anthem of Angel Beats, or even the background themes of Clannad, that is capable of making any anime faithful's stomach churn. And although my views of anime has changed over the years because of, how might I put this, the drop in quality and all-round peculiarity of the stories being told in this medium, this actually doesn't stop me from finding gems once in a while. And one of these gems that I'm referring to is Violet Evergarden. Now, I'm sure someone is going, oh, why haven't I watched it all this time? Well, the reason is back in the day, I wasn't really into these sorts of stories. I was more into, teenage protagonists shouting every few seconds and just totally being moved by, fight scenes like any teenager. It was until yesterday that I was done with some schoolwork and I sat down and gave this anime a shot. And oh my word, was I blown away. It really had me wondering why we still have screenwriters writing soulless and ultimately useless strong female characters. Why do we still see rundown and emotionless female strong characters when characters like this and so much more could be the blueprint? Even though these characters might be unique in their own different stories and worlds, but still they represent core values of what a strong female character can embody. Now I digress. To me, these sort of animes or movies are an art form. Now, I'm not undervaluing mangas or other anime genre in general, but these screenplays, or let me say mangas, that are capable of making audiences feel empathy, sympathy, and what I'll call all-round depression is an art form. Where you see screenwriters or mangakas use slow world building so as to draw you closer and closer to their characters and ultimately emotionally tie us up with these characters. And as the screenplay goes on, just ever so slightly giving us hints that these worlds are fragile and it won't last, and finally when the time comes, completely crushing our mental psyche by breaking these worlds apart, either by ending a character's life or just changing up something so very meager but is capable of having a hugely lasting impression on the audience. This to me is an art form when done correctly, and Violet Evergarden does this very much beautifully, but not with a cliche or by the book approach, more towards a standout or unique way. Okay, before we go on, please do consider subscribing and liking the video if you're enjoying the video. Thank you for your support, and let's get back into it. Now, after watching a lot of animes like this, I've come to understand that there are specific ways of building sympathy with the audience. The first way of building sympathy is what I'll dub forced sympathy. We normally see it with a lot of shonen animes that forcefully packs death scenes upon death scenes with no sense of world building or anything, ultimately forcing us, the audience, to feel bad for the character without any plot or story backing it up. Then we also have what I'll call subtle sympathy. These stories let you in and little by little takes us through these characters' plight. See, Violet Evergarden blends both forced and subtle to approach different emotional expressions. Now, a lot of people might actually be confused about what I meant by transcends humanity. It's actually pretty simple. What I meant by that was stories that best depict themes that goes beyond life, stories that tackle the borders of grief, loss, and bereavement. Not just tackling it, but approaching it with care and awareness to its intricacies. Now, what we're going to focus on is how Violet Evergarden deals with themes of grief, loss, and bereavement while still intertwining it with character growth when it comes to Violet. You see, each and every one of these themes that Violet Evergarden does approach are not just in the anime for showcase. Each one of these themes are approached through other characters, but what is so fascinating is that they all help to develop the main character, which is Violet. One might wonder, how do you do that? How do you, achieve character development bereavement with these kind of grim themes? Well, we actually get to understand that. Now, the main premise for Violet Evergarden goes like this. The anime is about a girl named Violet who was, when she was little, put in the military to fight as a tool by a major who took her in. The story takes place after the war, to which now Violet, who only knows the war, has to learn to live free, while still hoping to one day see the major, who at that time had been declared dead after the war. But this particular fact she did not know. Now, the motivation of Violet throughout each episode is to not just one day see the major, but as she works as an auto memory doll, learn the meaning of the words the major told her the last time she saw him, which was "I love you." I hope I didn't leave anything out. I'm not too good at summarizing stories. Now, I think it's best if I behave that the movie does not exist, because though the movie is part of the manga, it does, how might I put this, dilute the beauty of Violet Evergarden's story, and there are so many themes in the movie that I really disliked. But I'm not here to criticize the movie, we're here to focus on the show. So yeah, each episode in this anime portrays different extremes of grief, loss, and bereavement, be it moving away from someone you've been close to for so long, like Princess Drossel's story, or with bereavement you have the stories of Leculia and her brother, Mr. Webster, Leon, even a unique, more realistic approach to grief with the story of Anna. While the anime tries to teach lessons and portray realistic emotions, it still uses each episode as building blocks for Violet, who is going through her own character arc. You see, grief, loss, and bereavement is not an easy topic to tackle, but mostly in a media like animation, where there is always an element of what I'll call the demographic, because most people feel anything that is animated is for kids. But once in a while you have gems that actually approach the concept of grief, loss, and bereavement with their own unique take on it. Now, with Violet Evergarden, each one of these stories that the episodes do portray, I think anyone who's gone through this is able to relate to. Though most of the episodes are centered around the trauma of war, I don't think that that is the takeout of this anime. On the surface, it does look like it's dealing with themes around the trauma of war. While yes, it does, it would be of disservice if I say that's just what the anime was trying to exhibit. You see, with Leculia's story, Leculia tries to rekindle her relationship with her brother after her parents passed on due to the war. Leculia's brother blames himself time and time again and decides to keep on living in the past instead of appreciating how much effort Leculia is putting towards them moving on. Violet acts as a propagator to the story. She acts as a convenient bridge to the plot, allowing these two characters to actually express their emotions. Such episodes to me are truthful and undiluted commentary on the intricacies of loss and living in the past, and no other episodes best depicts this better than Mr. Webster's episode. I could feel every single emotion this character was expressing, and the worst part is I was actually watching this in dub, which is not supposed to be great. Even in dub, you could clearly feel what he was expressing on screen, from his broken down demeanor to his lack of impetus to do anything despite him being a very successful screenwriter. This was a man that was broken down completely by the passing of his daughter, someone who did not want to move on. This, in my opinion, is so human. I think what Violet Evergarden does is it approaches these themes without overdoing it. Each one of these stories feel very, very real. The anime tries to not overdo it with useless themes, but really takes its time to slowly put together each character and involve the audience with them. That creates this sense of realism to it. Now, even how the show is capable of approaching grief, loss, and bereavement, it is still effortlessly able to give a beautiful commentary on what it means to grow up and to leave the people you love. The Princess Drossel episode is actually one of my best. It tackles themes like love and growing up. The main emotional theme that it does tackle is letting go. This ending scene right here is absolutely brilliant and very beautiful. The episode doesn't really point to the fact that Princess Drossel's main issue wasn't really getting married to the prince. It was leaving the head maid who acted as a mother figure throughout her life. Now finally, Violet. Violet is a very unique female character. Firstly, and to be honest, this character shouldn't work as much as it did. The character has tropes that are a bit sketchy. A young girl that takes orders from a male higher power figure like the Major, who she depends on for her actions. This is actually a plot that is being replicated throughout shonen animes and even in some older movies too, where you have this overly dependent female characters who have to depend on the male figure who saved them. But the screenplay completely subverts this trope. Violet, with each episode, learns to live without the Major's orders, as she tries to understand what it means to be free and not just be a tool for someone else's satisfaction. She's not just understanding herself, but becoming sentient little by little to her emotions. Violet goes from this cold, calculated killer to literally a human. I really love this because modern strong female characters tend to be written as this cold, unlikable, emotionless dryboard, incapable of acting like normal human beings. It is almost as if screenwriters feel like it's offensive to write such characters to be frail and vulnerable at times. Physical strength, yes, is good, but if it's not paired up with emotional strength, such a character just comes off really flat and one-dimensional, plus very annoying. The beauty of emotional strength is that you have characters that aren't afraid to cry, to say I'm sorry, to learn, and to grow. Another beautiful thing about the anime is its approach to love with Violet. Now, I'm no lover boy, but this is how you write a love story. Yes, it does get a bit cringy, mostly with the Netflix movie, but I still really appreciate the approach to love. It's not like your typical love story. In fact, I don't see the anime as a love story, but you have the show taking you through understanding the meaning of love, not depicting the romantic side of it. The anime takes us through Violet understanding what it means to say I love you. It seems so innocent yet so beautiful. The anime sheds a totally distinctive perspective on the whole love trope that we've probably seen countless times in media. She gets to grow, comprehend herself, understand what it means to love, and not just that, but even be able to have contradictions where she gets to fight with herself on whether she's worthy of showing love and in turn receiving love because of what she's done in the military. Violet Evergarden, the anime, transcends humanity in the sense where it tackles themes that go beyond the borders of life. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you also for 1.3, I think it's 1.3 thousand now, 1.3 thousand subscribers. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked the video, please do so. If you enjoyed the content, that is. So as we're getting closer to Christmas, I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. God loves you and I love you too. Bye bye.